Hi guys, so recently there was an article that was spread like wildfire on the internet about a group of men who got together to form this movement called the Gentleman's Pride. In the article itself, it talks about what they wore and how this movement came to be. More importantly, they were pretty much boasting of the fact that this group of young men got together to sort of show Singapore how a gentleman should dress and behave. Got a pretty mixed reaction, I must say. I mean, on one hand, you got some people who applauded them about this movement to get Singapore fashionable once again, Singaporean men fashionable once again. On the other hand, you got people who sort of mocked them and said that whatever they wore, this 3 or 4 layer cloth that they are wearing is impractical. It makes sense considering the fact that we live in the fucking equator and it's so hot. It's pretty much like 34, 35 on average every day nowadays, especially with the weather global warming problem that's been going on. You call it El Nino, I call it El Ninabe. So that's that. But one small little thing that I observed was that those who applauded their style are mostly women. On the other hand, those who pretty much were calling out the BS on whatever they were wearing, most of them were men, and if you click on any of their profiles, they tend to not dress well. So, is it a plan of theirs? I don't know, but I don't care. Here's what I think. It is a good attempt at getting the Singaporean male to start being fashionable again. I mean, we Singaporeans have always been known to be the king of the flip-flops, sandals and t-shirts. So this movement is nice. It definitely is headed in a certain direction. I would say it's pretty much forward, but it fails to hit one very important point, which going by the name Gentleman's Pride, it should have gone in that direction instead, if you ask me. And this raises one very big question for me, to them, to you. What really makes a gentleman? It's a very simple question, but in actual fact, it does carry a lot of weight. So what makes a gentleman? The first thing I want to do is maybe bring up Google and add in, let's see, define gentleman. Let's see, gentleman, noun, a chivalrous, courteous or honorable man. Example, he behaved throughout like a perfect gentleman. Now, scrolling down a little bit further, it says nothing of what a gentleman is wearing, which brings up to my point over here. And I think, this is personal opinion. Might be wrong, you might disagree, this is totally up to you. But this brings up to the first thing that I have in mind would be, why on the release or the announcement of your group, that the articles and news release, press release and all the stuff are focusing more on what you're wearing rather than what you are portraying, the behaviors that you so-called talk about. Why is there no feature about what is a gentlemanly way to go about and do something? What is a gentlemanly way to go on a date, bring your date into the restaurant? What is a gentlemanly way to show a lady across a puddle? And by the way, I know that you're supposed to take off your coat, cover the puddle with it and first step on it. I'm pretty sure if you spend so much money on your coat, Singaporean men in general would probably say, no, I won't do that. I'll probably walk around it or whatsoever it is. That is not gentlemanly, by the way. See? Which is point 1. And then I lost point 2. I need to remember point 2. What is point 2 about? So there you have it. You're focusing so much on the clothing, it brings to me this impression that this gentleman thing is something that Singaporeans can buy into, which I don't agree. I mean, simply dressing like one doesn't mean that you will look and behave and be treated like one. I mean, of course you gotta wear decent, you gotta put on some decent clothes, but what I'm saying is that the impression that this announcement makes, this group, this movement makes, especially on their first feature, first press release, is that it creates this impression that you can buy into a culture. Doesn't always happen that way. I mean, you gotta think that way, and you gotta go into the motive, the motion, the vision, the direction, or whatever it is, the motto, or whatever it is. You gotta understand the culture before you go into it. The gentleman thing is old. Not everyone understands it. For all I know, some of them might be some douchebags or whatever it is. Again, I don't know any of them. But to say that, I mean, to focus so much on the clothing at first hand, it just creates a misconception that the gentleman is all about the dress sense and not about the behavior, when it should be the other way around. It should be about the behavior and not so much about the dress sense. If you behave like a certain way, even if you're wearing t-shirts and jeans, people would still call you a gentleman. Have you owed people money for more than a year? Have you? If you have, you probably are not so gentlemanly, right? Now what I'm saying is, now I'm not trying to discredit the whole group, because technically this is only their first press release, first article on the internet and all the stuff. I haven't been following them that much, but I'm just giving my first impressions on how this group is formed. I mean, for all I know, maybe they'll be conducting classes on, I don't know, gentleman etiquette and all that shit. If they are, good job. I'm very happy for them. But if not, they probably need to reconsider what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about it. Again, using the same example, just because I'm wearing a unicorn suit does not make me a unicorn, right? Maybe I am. You never know. So yes, at the end of the day, if you want to be a gentleman, I would strongly suggest the first thing you want to do is read up. Go onto the internet, know more about gentlemanly behavior, and rather than what they should be wearing. I mean, fashion is fashion. If you're really going into it, don't call yourself a gentleman. Just call yourself, I don't know, a fashionable man, if there's such a word. Yeah, that's about it. I'm just being talkative tonight, so that's about it. Bye bye.